So I have a big thrill for me here today, and also I hope for you, in that I am very, very honored and privileged to invite to our spotlight scene here some of our clients. In fact, some of the members of the wonderful group that we're running, now called the Inspired Author Academy. We were operating under a different name previously, but a few of the people who are already in that group, who I am just so in love with and so delighted to have as part of us. Part of my daily world actually revolves around the people in this group. So welcome to the stage, John, Susan, and Cynthia. And we'd like to hear a little bit about the book writing process, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about what you're doing. And John's on the top Hollywood Square for me right now. So John, maybe we could start with you. And would you mind telling us a little bit about who you are and what you're about in life, and maybe why you wanted to write a book?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to write a book, because I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know why I'm here. And I thought that investigation might be worth something, you know. Uh, yeah, I was a psychotherapist for 25 years, and before that, I led a life in the Midwest of America and all those values and so forth. And then, as I got into dealing with people, I began to love people more, and I began to love myself more. And I just felt as though, by golly, I mean, I don't think I'm smarter than anybody else, but I started feeling the love more in my life, and I wanted to share that love. So I opened my heart to receiving more love, embody it, and share more love. And I felt like writing was a way that maybe we could touch that little love bubble between us. Anybody that wanted to read the book or work on a book. And so yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm retired. I'm no longer working. However, I'm building a house, doing things like that. But my main longing, desire, and inspiration is to write, and that's why I'm here on this page and with this amazing woman Susan, who is uh, and our group that you had suggested that we are in. I was half a dozen of us that are writing a book together, and it's changed my life as far as being a writer. I've written thousands of pages of stuff, but I never was able or capacity to organize it, to bring it into a structure that would be readable, really. And this has helped so much. So that's where I'm at.
Mm, thank you, John.
Yeah.
And Susan, could you tell us a little bit about what you do in life, and tell us, why are you writing a book?
Well, thank you. It's lovely to be here. Thank you. And I'll say ditto to John. I'm a changed person because of my writing and because of this group and all that you have offered, Susan. I've been working with the bioenergetics of the body for many years now, and I'm passionate about people living a better life. And I do a bioenergetic technique, but I also have crystal alchemy bowls that I play, bringing the frequency in, and that's having a huge impact on many people as well. And I've been a lifelong learner, and one of my biggest learnings came through my divorce 19 years ago now, but it rocked my world, but it was a beginning of big change for me in learning about who I am. You know, John, you talked about not knowing who you are. I had no idea what I didn't know about who I am. And it was the beginning of a huge journey. And on my path, I've come to know myself. I've come to know this world I live in. And I love life so much more. I've learned a lot about myself in the writing. Besides, it's fun. And I'm passionate. My book is about approaching divorce and navigating divorce from a different perspective. You know, it's not something people really want to go through. It's not always fun. As a matter of fact, it rarely is. But But when you look at it differently, you can navigate it with more ease and grace. And you can see that if you can see the bigger picture, and I'm passionate about wanting to share that with people, that if something big is changing, you know, when we're taken to our knees, that's when growth happens. And, you know, when we sort of get to the bottom of the barrel, there's only one way to go, and that's up. And when we embrace that and look at it with different eyes, that's when the magic happens. And I'm passionate about wanting to help people get there, you know, working from the energetics, but also consciously understanding and understanding our programming and how that's been a part of our life and all of that. And all of that can change if we make a simple choice to say yes to change.
Beautiful. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
And Cynthia, tell us about what you're doing in life and why are you writing a book?
Well, I have been an artist all my life, an artist and a kind of gentlewoman farmer. My husband and I had 5 acres for 22 years together. And so I just figured I was always going to be an artist, except I had a dream of writing and illustrating children's books. And then when he passed away, suddenly and unexpectedly, my world totally changed. My world totally changed meeting him, because I had wanted to really be able to heal my life and become whole. I had a difficult primary family life, and that was like my number one thing to do in life, and then painting. And so I met him, and it was just wonderful. It was just really, really wonderful. And then until it wasn't, when he wasn't there anymore. And yet he came to me in spirit, and he gave me, for quite a long period of time, off and on, and less as time went on, but he would give me information that I needed, especially in the beginning, or helping to make decisions about things that I had to take care of, and just comfort. And I would share that with my community, with my friends. And all of them responded with some version of, "Oh, Cynthia, you have to write a book. This information is going to be very helpful to people, and you'll be able to help a lot of people doing that." And I kept hearing that and hearing that. So the one thing I knew, that I was going to move from my farm, and then the next thing I knew was that I was going to write a book. And 4 years ago, I moved from the West Coast to the East Coast. And within a month, I had come across Susan Crossman in my inbox, and she was putting on an event, and everything in me lit up. And so I went to the event, the online event, and was like, "Oh, this woman is going to be able to help me get to where I want to go." And so we had a conversation, and I joined the mastermind. And Susan is such a heartfelt leader that she creates this incredible space to thrive, for the people who come into it to thrive in. And so it's been, and so like-minded people, and this group that I've been in with all of the wonderful people who are in it, it has just been such a rich part of my life. And it's, it's hard to imagine not being part of it, because Susan just keeps kind of upping the ante. Okay, let's write a book. And so we did. And yeah, it's wonderful. So now I have published, I have one published book so far. Before, no, I was in the mastermind then. Yeah, it was with, you know, somebody else, and now we have one coming up with our group. And then I have my memoir, Awakening to Life, A Journey from Grief to Joy, that will be coming out this fall.
You're churning them out, Cynthia.
Yeah, yeah, it would seem so, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so to speak. Thank you. Thank you all. It's such an honor to have you in my life, and also to be on a planet with you and know that you're making such a difference with the writing that you're doing and the people that you're impacting. And I'm just wondering what's changed since the time that you've been in the group, say, what's changed in how you perceive writing and your books and what you're here on the planet to do? Maybe a little bit about maybe your mission. I don't know if there is such a thing, but have you felt that there's been any change in your approach to books and writing, or your perception of yourself as an author?
Well, I can say that, you know, my purpose has become clearer. You know, my husband's death really changed my, you know, I was kind of living my purpose, but I knew there was more. All of a sudden, here it was. And it has to do with helping people who are experiencing bereavement to move through their grief, to support them in doing that. And because I've discovered that grief is actually an incredible teacher, and grief becomes love. It's, you know, there's so much pain, but I surrendered myself to my grief, and grief did become my teacher. And I've learned that grief is an opportunity to love more deeply, and to really love oneself. And therefore, the love for everyone else has also increased, for the world, for humanity. And there's also, I've found that the, what do you call it? The way people in the West handle grief, especially, you know, from in the US, because that's where I am, I'm aware of it. And I've been told that it's that way in Canada too. And it, you know, that people are so uncomfortable with their own mortality that they want to shut you down. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to mention the person's name. They don't, you know, it's like a wall. And not everyone by any means, but it's still a cultural need, really. And so part of my mission is to rewrite the story of grief. And there are others who are doing this, and I am part of that movement to rewrite the story of death and grief.
Beautiful. Which is something it seems you've become more clear about through the process of writing your book.
Yes, it is. It's become way more clear. And the other thing that has become clearer is it's like therapy, especially if you're writing a memoir, because I'm going through a certain part of my life, but it also connects to, you know, earlier. And so the connections between where I am now and where I was then, and just seeing how things have changed, has been immeasurably helpful for me. You know, I've been doing inner work for a long time, decades and decades. But the clarity that has come about through writing and through being and having discussions about our books and what we're doing within our group has been incredible. incredibly helpful to just expand my understanding of myself and become more and more and more whole. So I really, if anyone has an idea that they want to write a book, they have a desire to write a book, I figure they've got a story to tell or stories to tell, because it's the story in the book, even if it's about an info book or about crafts or how to or something, it's the stories that bring it to life, that make it worth reading. And it's a fantastic journey. I highly recommend it to anyone who has an inkling about writing a book. I just say go for it.
Thank you, Cynthia. How about you, Susan? What's changed for you since being in the group around your book, or your perception of yourself, or your perception of the role of the book in your life, or what feedback would you give about that?
30.
Well, I feel like I've awakened to a part of me I didn't know before. You know, when you're writing and expressing, you're revealing a lot to yourself through the writing process. And I have found so much growth in the writing and in the evolution. I do feel I've become a better writer because of it. You know, I feel that before I was in the group, I think I've always been a good writer, but I didn't know that. But I really feel it's evolved so much. And in the writing, again, there's a lot revealing about when I'm writing a story about something. I see the bigger picture of what's happening underneath the story. Like you said, Cynthia, the story is very powerful, but what's really more powerful is what's underneath the story and what's really happening. And in the writing, that can be revealed. And, you know, I've said this before, even if the book never got published, it's mandatory for me to write it. And yet it would be a shame not to publish it, because there's so much. I know there's a lot of juice in it that will help a lot of people. And I have this passion for helping people navigate challenging things in life, that our experience changes when our perception changes. And the writing of this book has really magnified that for me big time. And I can't even imagine, wow, if I had said no to this program when I started so many years, you know, I forget how many years it's been now, 4 maybe, that I've been in with this program with you. But it's beyond words. And of course, this group that we're in, incredible people, deep relationships, because we have deep conversations, but there's an intimacy in being able to be who we truly are. So that's something we've lived in a world that's really not very well accepted, to just be who you are. And when you're in a group of people and you're trying to express what's really going on with you, and it's not only okay, it's embraced, you know, to me, that is just so precious. And the relationships with my fellow colleagues in this group is just, it's, you know, even if there never was a book, you know, the relationships are beyond. And I will say that, you know, I don't know why the word fearless leader comes, you know, you have a way of holding us accountable, and yet so much love and heartfelt wisdom coming from you and your guidance. One of the things I have learned is that no matter how good of a writer I may be, I could not be navigating this journey on my own. This group and your expertise and your knowledge and all of that, it takes a village. And I wonder how many people never finish their book because it seems too overwhelming. And, you know, to me, the book world is an industry, and I wonder how many people get shut down by the industry when their story is profound and real. So you have a way of helping us get there with such wisdom and compassion and understanding. It's magic. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. John, how about you? What's changed for you over the course of the program and the course of writing your book? And what kind of feedback do you have about that whole process?
Oh, yeah. Where do I begin? You know, everything, and hi to everyone that's been here. I tuned in about an hour and a half earlier than right now, and just listened, and it reminded me of the other pieces that Susan has taught me over the last 2 years. And I'm going, oh my God, what? Yeah, I can shift this paragraph now, and I could. So the information's very important. However, just like my colleagues, Cynthia, Susan, and Susan Crossman, Susan Eva and Susan Crossman, what's changed for me is the community of sweet, heartful, brilliant writing people. And you could take any one of those pieces I just said out of the rest of it, and they would still be incredible people. And, you know, to be in community has changed my life. You know, I've been in communities. I've always been in communities. I've dropped a lot of my communities because they just weren't feeding that space inside of me that my writing's about, longing for that. But the community, you guys, you've been amazing. I mean, you've been absolutely stunning, like both of you said. And did I expect it? I didn't expect it. It just happened. And once it happened, it was like, and so my writing went from I went here, I'll tell you the beginning and where I'm at right now. I've been writing for years, probably 50 years. Never done anything with it. But books full of shit that I've written, but I didn't know what to do with it. I always thought, yeah, it's a book, but I didn't know what to do with it. But I thought it was what I was writing was important, but I didn't know how to say that. And then I found out that what I was writing itself wasn't important. It was when I was really doing my best, it was coming through me in some way that it wasn't me doing da 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 da. Before I met Susan Crossman, the name of my book was going to be Undefined Love, the Life Force of the Universe. Well, I thought I was either Carl Jung or Albert Einstein or Socrates, and I realized after listening to the amazing other people in my group, wow, she's saying the same thing. Wait, no, she's saying the same thing. So now I'm playing with a new title for the book. Every one of us is a story. And so the goal now is to bring forth a story that includes my authentic direct experience, the fictional part that follows either the hero's journey or Susan, what's the woman's
Virgin's Promise.
Virgin's Promise, which I really like a lot more, to be honest with you, because for a man, the hero's journey was like, yes, very true, but very limiting. But the Virgin's Promise is a very open space. Now I'm going to say that to every other man that's on the page right now. Let me see, where are they? Oh shit, there aren't any. What is that about? Come on.
There are some.
No,
there have
some,
been
but
some.
I don't see them. I'm sorry. But I mean, it's always the heart and love that's coming through the feminine energy right now is so exquisite, and I've been so graced to be in a group of 5, 6 women and myself, and going through this process for 2 years. I've learned so much about unity and clarification of the singularity of love in the universe. And so that's what I'm writing about now. And it's coming into shape because of the communication I've had with my colleagues. with the expertise that Susan has brought forth that makes me go, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. I can do this. And then all of a sudden my work gets extremely better. And again, it's like it comes through, and it's like when I get out of the way and let that inspiration and that creativity come through, man, it's changed everything. So I'm excited about it, and that's kind of how I've shifted from where I thought I was a writer to almost 100% convinced that I am one.
Ah, yes, music to my ears. Yay, yay. So last question for everybody. And my question is, what advice would you have for someone who's kind of starting this authoring journey? They maybe been thinking about their book for a long time and maybe have started, maybe have made some attempts at it, but they're not yet fully engaged in integrating book writing into their life. What would you suggest? And anybody can go first. We'll operate this like our group meetings.
Well, I'll start. I would just say, start saying yes. I have learned through my life that, every time I say yes, even if my mind doesn't know why, there's gold in it. So, start writing, and just without an expectation of where it's going to go, just give yourself the grace and permission to say yes, and participate in as many of these kind of summits and workshops as you can, because it's not even, you don't even have to jump into high cost things in order to nurture your journey, so to speak, and start dipping your toe in the water and follow your gut. When something says this is really going to be helpful and I'm going to make it happen, give yourself permission to look at it, even if it doesn't seem feasible. Go through the process of looking into it, because where there's a will, there's a way. And no matter what happens, you will grow from it, and you will meet amazing people, and you will learn a lot about yourself. And when we do that, we have a much better life experience. That's what I would say. Just make sure you say yes with a smile on your face, and be kind to yourself.
Love that. Thank you. How about, okay, who's next? I'll let you flow with it.
Yeah, I think I was going to say some of what Susan was saying. So I agree completely with that. What I could add is, oh dear, it came up and I forgot it. Oh, it's just almost right there. John, why don't you go ahead, because it was good. I just have to get it back.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Cynthia, that's really a wonderful little thing right there. And I do that same thing all the time. But when it's right there, but it's not quite there yet, I ask a question. And it's like, I don't need the answer of what's there, but I love being in the question of what I don't know yet. And that's when my best writing comes through. So, and sometimes it takes a while. And that's what I wanted to say about what I would suggest, or not as if I know anything. I love the old philosophers because they're so cute in a way. Like Socrates, who was a brilliant writer, who was known throughout the smaller universe for his brilliance. One of his famous quotes is, "I know nothing," and I really took that to heart. And it's like, I don't know, I know nothing, but to come forth, to bring forth what I don't know and I don't understand, but explore it. That's where my best writing comes from. So one thing I would suggest is stay in the question. What's going on here? What I feel this. Well, what is that? And the best ones for me don't come from, let me contemplate this and come up with an answer. It's like, what is my mission of love coming through my heart? What needs to be expressed here? what do I have to do from this point forward? And all of a sudden, all those things that I watched in the last hour, part of me says, damn it, I should have been here for 2 or 3 days, however long this has been going on. But it was about the process of how it happens, how you write it, what the chapter looks like. What I would really suggest to anybody, well, great information is from history. Every one of us has a story. We grew up in a certain way. We listened to our teachers, our ministers, our coaches, our parents, and that's who we have been. And yet, you can tell all those stories, but tell them in a way. I've learned this recently. When I tell this story, this chapter, who's my audience? Who is it that I'm looking at that I know will vibrate with the energy of the struggle and the ecstasy of the story that I'm writing? It narrows it down because not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to get my writing. They're going to go, what type of crap is this? But the ones that do, who are those? And can I touch their hearts with my writing? That's what I would suggest. Find out who that is.
Beautiful. Beautiful, John. Cynthia, did the
remember,
candle of thought reignite?
Yeah, I remembered. It has to do with, you know, as a writer, you work alone. You know, we're in order to do our writing, which is really nice because Susan puts on a library time twice a month where, although it's virtual, we can come together and write together for a couple of hours. So I'd say if you're looking at writing, that recognize, you know, everything that John and Susan have said, and what I said earlier about just go for it, that you do, it's really helpful to have other people to share with. If it's not like, you know, a teaching situation that in part is what we have, then there are writing groups that you can join online or where you live in person. And, you know, if you're a writer, and writers, I think a lot of writers are introverts, so it might be a hard thing to do to go out and look for a group, but it feels so good to come out of your writing space and go and share with other people who are writing and going through similar things. It's very, it's like once you experience it, it's like, how did I ever get along without this? You know, in the writing thing, because it's that much of a comfort, of a help, of a support, and you know, just out in a live experience, whether it's live online or live in life.
Which we've done with our live retreat last year, which was so fun.
Boy,
yeah,
that was amazingly awesome.
That was life-changing. Yeah. Well, thank you, my friends. Thank you so much for bringing your beautiful energy here. And I wonder if you feel so inclined, Cynthia, Susan, and John, if you would put your information in the chat box. I know certainly Susan and Cynthia, you are coaches who do help people with grief and other issues. And so if anybody would like to get in touch with you, I would love it if they could connect with you and maybe have a conversation around how you can support them. But I think that would be lovely if you could put your deets there. And John, you too, if you feel that you
okay,
would like to be
I'd love
attracting.
to do that, but I'd love to do that, but I don't know how to do that. So
oh,
I'm a tech idiot, but yeah, but that's
Do
fine.
you
I,
mind if Tanya puts your email address in
that
there,
would be
just in case
that would be beautiful.
somebody would like to reach out and
Sure.
talk to you about psychotherapy and books
Or anything else.
or anything else?
Yeah.
Our love, anything loving.
Yeah, anything.
We
anything
know
that
where to
allows-
go.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate you in my life, and also you taking the time to be here with us today with other emerging authors who are on the path to creating world peace, the nefarious plot for world domination through peaceful means and harmony and love and justice and all those yummy things. I think I was a little bit too early or too late to be in the what did they call it, the peace generation, you know, the make love not war. I wasn't quite old enough for that, but it's in my heart anyway. I think if I'd been a little bit older, I might have gone there. So may I tell you another little story? Can I tell a little story? So I grew up in London, Ontario. Some of you may have mentioned that. I actually, when I grew up, I worked for the London Free Press. That was my first job out of university, and went home to London, and that's where I worked. But I did grow up there. And at the time it was known as the Forest City. And how lucky for me that I grew up in the forest city, and there were lots and lots and lots of trees. London prided itself at the time, and probably still does, with the canopy cover. We didn't call it that in those days, but the amount of canopy cover that city had was an enormous and very important part of the city's offer to its residents. And my backyard was filled with very tall, strong, gorgeous oak trees. It was filled with these majestic guardians of the forest, and they towered over our backyard, and they felt so strong and so steady. And I really felt protected in the backyard of my home because these beautiful trees were watching over me, is how I felt. And every fall, the ground would be covered with leaves because oak trees lose a lot of leaves, and my sister and I got to rake them all up. And in that process of raking up the leaves every fall, we also discovered a lot of acorns, hundreds and hundreds of acorns. And of course, that meant there were a lot of squirrels, and the squirrels would come jumping through the piles of leaves that we had made, and they'd collect up all the acorns. There were thousands of these acorns scattered all over the ground. And so I used to collect those. I have a little passion for collecting rocks and acorns. Those are some of the things that I like to pick up when they give me permission. But they were these gorgeous little smooth treasures. I don't know if you've ever held an acorn. They're not very big, most of them, but each one of them held the potential to become another one of these massive, towering, beautiful oak trees that stood guard over our backyard. And even as a little kid, though, I noticed that not every acorn became a tree. You know, given how many thousands of acorns there were every fall, there were hardly any acorns that turned into oak trees the next year. There were very few of them. A lot of them would just lie there in the ground and not much would happen to them. And some of them would rot. And of course, the squirrels took some of them. And I imagine there were birds maybe that carried some of them off. So the number of acorns that grew into these gorgeous trees was very limited. But a few of them, and a few, I mean a real few, would crack open, and the next spring there'd be a little shoot coming up, and they'd sink into the earth, and that little gorgeous little precious green shoot would begin the journey to becoming something magnificent. And that image stayed with me throughout my whole life. Like that the potential wrapped up in those little acorns was huge, and yet a lot of times that potential never grew, never took form. And so in many ways, it seems to me that your book and your message is like one of those little acorns. And you're holding it right now. You've got it within you, and probably some of it's on your hard drive, and some of it's in your notebooks, and some of it's in your imagination and your dreams and your higher levels. And parts of that book are all over your life. And inside of you is everything that you need for growth and strength, and something that will one day turn into something beautiful that will offer shelter and beauty and 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 shade from the hot sun and legacy. And the work that we do together, the coaching, the structure, the support, well, that's the soil. And in our group, you've just heard from some of the members of our group, and that they are nutrient soil for one another's books. We begin to provide a nutritious and nutrient dense soil for each other's books in which they can take root and grow and flourish. But the moment of planting, that moment when you plant the acorn, when you take the acorn and give it a home in the soil, that's up to you. The planting is up to each one of us. That part is our part to do. And when you say yes, even if you're a little nervous about saying yes, you give that seed a chance to become everything it was meant to be. And oak trees don't grow by staying safely inside the shell. Oak trees grow by opening. And as Susan was just saying a few minutes ago, by saying yes, by stepping into these amazing opportunities of possibility that are waiting for us, and courageously reaching for the sun that's waiting, but also by courageously saying yes because fortune favors the brave. And one thing we know statistically around the book world is that out of every 8 people who would like to write a book, out of every 8,000 people who would like to write a book, only 8 actually take that book through to publication. So there's a lot of acorns scattered around the world in the form of unfinished manuscripts that never make it to the light of the sun, where they can do the work that they're here to do on the planet. And so I'm going to be putting an opportunity in front of you in a few minutes that you have a decision to make as to whether you're going to take the leap or not. And some of you are perfect for our Inspired Author Academy. In my model of the world, in my view, you'd be an absolutely magnificent match for what we're offering and what we're working on in our mission of creating more light in the world. And so if you want to make more impact or write your book, I really sincerely invite you to consider the ways you stop yourself from doing something bigger. So then let's leave that out there for a little bit. And I'm going to just in the meantime, before we go to what I am going to be offering you, I want to talk a little bit about the foundational pillars for success in the book world. And I have some slides. So here we are. There they go. So the foundational pillars of book writing success, we want to look at that, and we want to look at a few mistakes to avoid along the way. And you know all about me. You've been hearing from me all day. I do feel that I'm here to harness the power of a good story to the goal of peace on earth. Who knows when we'll get there? But I think even making one more life a little more peaceful through the medium of a well-written book is a worthy goal, and something that we can achieve one book at a time. And again, I'm here to help you write the most powerful book you're capable of writing. So again, to ignite peace in the hearts of the people you're here to serve and generate a more harmonious world for us all. We saw this slide yesterday. I'm a rock person, as I said. I'm from the Canadian Shield, born in among many, many trees and forests and lakes, and done a lot of writing, written 5 books, as we know. These are some scenes from my life, actually from about the last year or so. I do a lot of fun things. But I want to look at, what does success look like for an author? I like this guy, Earl Nightingale. I don't know if you've heard of Earl Nightingale. A lot of people have. He's a little bit dated now, but he is one of the early leaders in the personal development field. And I loved what he said. He said that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success isn't being an Amazon best-selling author. It's not being a New York Times best-selling author. It's It's what we experience about ourselves in the realization of a worthy goal. It's that growth. I think Susan again was mentioning how much she's grown through the process of writing the book in our community. And it's that pursuit that makes us successful. So that anybody who knows what they're doing and where they're going, they're successful. That is success in and of itself. And if we have a goal towards which we're working, we are successful. And I really like that, because in the process of writing a book, it can take a long time. It can take a while. It took me 13 years to write that first book. Now I have written a book in 6 months, so we know that it's possible to write a book in 6 months as well. And that all of that comes down to your motivation and your reason for doing that. And life sometimes steps in our way and trips us up a little bit. But if we want to experience our greatest success as a leader in the process of achieving a worthy goal, and our book is a part of that, we want to write a really good book. And we've been talking about that a little bit today, how a good book is well structured. It reads beautifully. That's about the writing. That's how well you're writing. There's good information in there. It's not just nonsense. There's information that is going to serve your reader. They're going to help your reader. We want to generate a transformation for our readers with our books. And there's a little bit of a knack to that, because you can give somebody information. That doesn't mean it's going to change their life in any way. And of course, we've talked about a terrific cover. Thank you to Kelly. And a great title. Those are other components of it. And your book is unique. So those are the things that I feel go into being a great book. And there are a few other things over and above that really relate to the, how do you create that amazing book. And so some people just start writing, and after hundreds and hundreds of pages, they haven't come to any conclusions for their readers. This is something that I've experienced as an author coach and as an editor. And other people will just dump everything they know into their book manuscript. It just comes all out, and there it is. And other people never start the project because they're so overwhelmed by the whole idea of all this information that I have to put in there that they don't even get started with writing their book. And other people still have such a big vision. Their vision is so big that it's really hard to package that amazing, beautiful vision down into the tiny little packages of words and sentences and paragraphs that we need to use to communicate those vast ideas. It can seem like a long way from glorious vision to tiny little words to the three-dimensional reality of a book. So what else also often happens is that when some people sit down to write, the information floods out of them, and it comes out in a disorganized fashion where all information is treated as equal. Well, all your information is not equal. Some of the information you have to share is more important than other information. So there needs to be a way to figure out, well, how do we make sure that the right information is getting included, the best information is included in the book. So when you splatter that information out into the manuscript, what happens is, in my experience, what I've observed is that you'll seem less intelligent than you really are. You are that intelligent, but when the information is just smattered all over the place, you're not helping the reader identify how brilliant you are, because they're overwhelmed by a tsunami of information, and then they can't help make the distinctions that they need to. So the book doesn't land. And so one of the common mistakes, again, is that when people sit down to write a book, they don't think that they need to have a book outline to guide the experience. And we talked about that a little bit earlier, about the difference between a pantser and a plotter. And it's actually, life is a lot easier for plotters to write a book, because they are the structured people among us, and they're able to stick more easily to the outline that we need to create in order to make sure the information is presented to the reader in a logical way. But a great outline really helps the author take that beautiful vision and package it into something as small as a book, three-dimensional reality, so they can give the readers the best that they have to offer. And one of the things that I offer in my program is something called the Idea to Impact Blueprint process. And it helps people get their book structured easily and effectively, so they know exactly what they're writing about and what order the information needs to be in. And then you don't have to guess about what's supposed to go in your book and what's supposed to not go in your book. What do you leave in and what do you leave out? And so you can write in a really fluid way. We talked about this client. I have a little example of that a little bit earlier. Alex Patterson is one of my clients, and she was working on a manuscript for a family memoir. I referenced that a little earlier. Maybe you were here for that. It covered 150 years of Canadian history. She is the descendant of a very notable Canadian family. They were crucially important in the opening up of the country 150, 200 years ago, when there were coureurs de bois running around and there were shipping lines and sailboats. We had sailboats, big ships in those days, and her family was a large shipping family. And she was telling the story of her family, but also about the pioneering things that happened in the opening up of Canada, in the settlement, the colonialization, sadly, of Canada. But when she came to me, she had this first draft of a book. It was 230,000 words, which was about 800 pages, I think. And it was all one chapter. And so that was kind of evidence of an experience of not having a really great outline to work with. And had she started with a really great outline, the editing process would not have gone on as long as it did, and it certainly wouldn't have cost as much money as it did. But we were fortunately able to bring order to the beautiful, magnificent stories that she was telling, and she told a good story. This lady had some really good stories. And but her goal wasn't really to build a business, and it wasn't, really to create a big ripple of impact in the world. She was really telling the story for her grandchildren, her children and her grandchildren, so that they would understand where they came from, what their roots were, and what role their family had in helping people to create commerce. And also, she wanted to make a contribution to Canadian history, because this was all original research. This was from family journals that she had, and diaries and photographs. And it was really a phenomenal piece of research that ended up being in this book. So that's the importance of a really good outline, that when you start with a really good outline, you save a lot of money on the editing, as I've said before, but you also end up with a very well structured book that speaks clearly to the points that you want to make. Another challenge for a lot of people is that when they set out to write a book, they wait until inspiration strikes. And I love that. I love when inspiration strikes. But the challenge is, inspiration doesn't always strike when I'm ready for inspiration to strike. And sometimes if you're waiting for inspiration to strike before you sit down to write, it can take a really long time. And you end up with, inspiration struck on Tuesday at 3 p.m. and then not for another month and a half. And then you've got this goal of writing a book and a desire to write a book, but it's not coming along very quickly. And it's not happening in a really great way for you. And some people don't realize that their ideal readers are waiting for that book. You have people here that you can serve with your book. They're waiting for that book. They are in a place where they're lost and they are looking for solutions, and they can't find that book that you have it in you to write, which is actually the perfect solution to their issue, the perfect solution to the challenges that they're having. And we tend to sometimes think about writing that book as a bit of a vanity project, that, oh my gosh, I'm being so self-indulgent by wanting to write a book. I look at it as, you are, in not writing your book, in a way, you're withholding help from people who could actually use that service that book is in the world. So it's really important that you get the book done, because it's a long time for those people you're here to serve to have to wait. Other people beat themselves up a little bit. I've seen this happen too, because they've attended a course or a program that promised this kind of a quick and easy way to write a book. You could write it in a weekend. And there was one program I heard of, and you can write a book in a weekend, become an Amazon best-selling author, make $100,000, and there was something else you could do in a weekend. And I was astounded that all that was going to happen in a weekend, and it was a $5,000 weekend. But when I contacted the individual to find out more, because I can't do that, like, I can't write a book in a weekend and make $100,000 and become an Amazon best-selling author all in 2 days. And the answer that came to my question was, well, no, we don't really do it in a weekend. which I thought was, not quite an honest way of presenting the issue. So, but some people will take these programs and then really beat themselves up because they couldn't do it. They were supposed to be able to write their book in a weekend or a month, and it can be done. I'm not saying it can't be done, but for a lot of people, they need a lot more support than is available in a kind of a light program that is designed to make it happen as quickly as possible. And so I invite people to be a little bit cautious about your expectations of yourself. And if you don't get it done in a month, it's okay. It's okay that you didn't hit that mark, whatever that mark was, because maybe you're built differently, or maybe the program just wasn't the right fit for you. But what I do in our program as well is something I call my holistic book birthing process. And what that means is that we design the book writing process around your way of being in the world. So if you're a hiker, if you like to hike, then we figure out ways to embed the hiking in your process of book writing. If you are a meditator, then we can leverage your meditation sessions for the book writing process as well, so that you're not changing anything that you're doing necessarily. You're leveraging your own way of being in the process of writing the book. So you use your natural way of creating with the sort of the process that you need in order to write the book. We have one of the members of our existing group is an intuitive medical practitioner, and she helps her clients by tapping into their energy fields and finding the stuck energy responsible for their health issues. And then she also receives information from her spiritual guides. She's in direct communication with her guides all the time, and lives quite a lot. I'm probably completely almost from the fifth dimension and above. She's in another worldly individual who has found a beautiful way of being in the world that takes advantage of her connection to her divine source, and also brings that into three-dimensional reality so that she can be exactly who she is and work the way she needs to work. And so a typical off the shelf writing process isn't going to work for her. And so we've been able to come up with if you want to, I don't like to use the word system here, but a kind of a way of being in relation to her book that allows her to take advantage of the divine downloads that she gets and recruit those into the process of writing a book. So that is possible out there. Another challenge that a lot of the people who I work with, who are very woo, I work with a lot of woo, the woo and the do. Nancy Abramson's a lady I met in Florida at the Soulful Leadership Retreat in February, and I think she does money coaching, but she talks about combining the woo and the do. And I love that. I give her full credit for that, but we love to bring the woo and the do together. Is sometimes when we are coming from a source of, or from a place of divine sustenance, sometimes we come almost exclusively from that place of woo, if we want to call it, of intuitive and divine guidance, and we might sideline the practicality part of things. And we don't want the practical part to take over our books, but depending on your book, there may be a reason why you want to have a more foundational, grounded bedrock piece to it that is supplemented by your intuitive gifts. And so I've developed a way to make sure that people are bringing the woo through, bringing the divinity and the intuitive guidance and creative guidance through into the book, and also taking advantage of our ability to think in a linear way, in a logical way, so that you're integrating all aspects of who you are. So that there's passion, and there's also a whole lot of focus on how do we monetize that, because a lot of natural healers, particularly in coaches, they are feeling that there should be a little more abundance coming their way. And so we don't want to sacrifice either side of who we are, any aspect of who we are, in order to write a book. We want to bring all of that together so the book becomes a beautiful expression of the wisdom that you have to share, but also you're monetizing so that you're actually going to make some money from that. And a great example of that is our client, Tina Reusefeld. Tina had wanted to write a book for years, and she particularly wanted to write about her experiences in a family that was struggling from the fallout of Canada's residential schools situation. Her grandmother had been a victim of the residential schools in Canada and had been confined to a school for a long time. And what I didn't realize until I started working with Tina was one of the big fallouts of that was that the kids who were in those schools for years and years and years, they were taken away from their families. They never learned how to parent. They had no example of parenting in their lives whatsoever. And so when they had children, they didn't have any innate guidance around, well, how do you parent a child? And so that was a really damaging aspect, one of the many damaging aspects of the residential schools issue. So Tina's grandmother had been in the schools. And so when Tina's mother was born, she was born into a family where there wasn't a lot of care and guidance offered to Tina's mother. And this Tina tells the story in her book, but also there were addiction issues that cropped up. And so Tina's mother was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and Tina followed that path. Tina was sexually abused as a young girl and ended up in an addiction issue, which very nearly took her off the planet. She was in very dire shape until she found her way to holistic practices that helped her save her life. And so having had this very dramatic experience as a young person, and growing through into her adult life and finding her way to recovery, and she is a supporter of Alcoholics Anonymous as well. She has been in recovery for, I think it's been about 9 or 10 years now. She's been sober, and so she knows it can be done. She knows that it's possible to become sober, and she wants to help other people with holistic practices for sure. And she's a yoga teacher, and when she wrote her book, she was also building her yoga practice in order to help people in recovery and for other reasons too, not just for recovery, but that was kind of her dream around, how do I combine this great desire to help people with the desire to build a business and sustain myself financially in a way that is exciting and rewarding. And so Tina has quite a dramatic story. She's an emergency room nurse. That's the other thing. She's a trained nurse with a ton of amazing experiences, and has worked globally as an emergency room nurse as well. She's one of those people that is brought in from the outside when there are shortages of nurses in some places, but also when they need special people to come in and be nurses. So what happened with Tina after her book came out was very exciting for Tina, because she was building her business, and then she ended up doing holistic practices at a yoga treatment center in Costa Rica, which allowed her to use all of her skills. And then very recently, she's just been hired as the chief operating officer of a large addictions recovery center, a chain of addictions recovery centers. So now she's been able to up-level the help that she's able to provide to the people that she wants to help the best. And it's because she was visible around her book. She wrote the book, and now she's been able to really make a splash with the work that she's doing in the world. Higher Purpose Leadership Quest, that's another one of the kind of fun things that I like to talk about. One of the other common mistakes that people will often make is minimize the complexity of the writing process. We're getting a little bit of a handle on that this week. It can be a really complex thing to write a really good book that brings all of who you are to the fore, but also achieves the goals that you set in motion. And so one of the things that sometimes gets lost along the way is, in this drive to write the book, sometimes it's hard to see the leadership aspect of who you are. And often people want to write a book to help people. And as we've heard a little bit earlier, maybe from Susan and John and Cynthia, well, there's more to it than that. There's an evolution of who we are and the leadership that we're able to provide as well through the books, through the process of writing the books. And again, afterwards, there's so much more available as well. Once that book comes out, as we're seeing in some of these slides here, there is a lot of evolution from your career perspective as well, your business perspective. And so there is that leadership part of it. I like to keep an eye on that for my clients, because often I can see possibilities because I've been doing this for so long. I can see things unrolling, and I get really super excited about the opportunities that start showing up as you've got that book done, and even before you've got that book done. And an example of that is our client, Angela. Angela worked in our she was actually one of our original mastermind group program members, and she worked with me to write her book there. And as she was working on her book, we also did some editing together. I edited her book as well, and it was very really exciting for her as her leadership took shape through the writing of the book. And now one of her dreams had been to be a speaker. She hadn't been doing a lot of speaking at that point, although she was coaching people. Angela is a money coach. She, and her book Living Out Loud is tells the story of her experience of transforming from one of those little girls who was kind of loud, and everybody said, "Oh, for crying out loud, would you just sit down and be quiet?" And she heard that her whole life, sit down and be quiet. And so she did. When she became an adult, she just sat down and she was quiet. And that entitled her to a life that made her very, very unhappy. And sitting down and being quiet was not the right path for Angela. Angela has a beautiful, big personality. She has so much to offer people. And this concept of sitting down and being quiet didn't sit very well. And over time, she became the kind of person who was able to speak up for herself in very, very powerful ways, one of which is her book. And now she's doing a lot of speaking and leading and helping women. She's a CPA, a chartered accountant, and that her business is built around this beautiful joy of helping women particularly, but helping people create the life of their dreams through their finances. So using the vehicle of their finances and becoming empowered around their finances so they can create this beautiful world of dreams for themselves. So, and the book has been a really powerful part of that mission for her. And then finally, we have this inspired author roadmap that we do. It makes sure people have the full picture of what it takes to write, edit, publish, and market a book. There are a lot of variables around all of that. A common mistake a lot of people make when they jump into writing their book is they don't have a really good sense of what's involved. And of course, how could you? You know, we all just have this very kind of nebulous concept of what writing a book is like. And when you're not in the business, you're not seeing day in and day out what all of the opportunities are, the dangers are, what the costs of everything is. You're not seeing people hire publicists to know that, well, you know, that can cost $20,000 a month to hire a publicist. It doesn't have to, but it's, you know, you're looking at probably at least 10 grand a month over a period of 2 or 3 months at least to get any results from a publicist. So, you know, if you don't know that and you think you're going to hire a publicist someday, you better start saving now, because that's a much bigger dream and a much bigger platform, but you need bigger bucks in order to be playing at that in that environment. And not necessarily, there are ways to do this really cost effectively. And I have a number of people in my network who are able to help people with their publicity at a much lower cost. But it's good to know, right? It's good to know how much it costs or how much it's going to cost so that you can start planning now for everything that you're going to need. And by the way, you can also do this really cheaply as well. So you want to know what the spectrum is of costs that you'll be facing. And that's what I like to share with people is, okay, you need to kind of face facts, I guess. And on that front, one of our clients, Laura worked with me as a one-on-one book coaching client to get started on her book journey. We did a book structuring exercise, which I offer. But we started there and then did one-on-one coaching, and then I edited her book. Laura is a performance coach, and she herself was an athlete at the international level. She was not lacrosse. It's not soccer. Oh man, the word's gone right into my head. Field hockey at the international level. She played all over the world in really high performance teams, and now coaches other high performance teams and also corporate teams. And so she recognized that having a book about leadership would be a really good idea because She was another person where people were saying, you know, you really should write a book. You don't have to write a book. And so Laura's been doing that. She was already quite successful as a speaker and a coach, and she now has lined up even more engagements and was able to be honored with an endorsement for her book from Marshall Goldsmith. He read the book, thought it was an amazing book, and then now she's doing even more stuff. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of kind of some of the things that I feel it takes to write a really compelling book. And now I'm going to invite you and say, well, wait a minute, what if we can turn your wisdom into a compelling and impactful book that you love, so that you can write an inspiring book that turns your ideas into a respected representation of your leadership, lets you skip the slow road to publication without sacrificing quality, and support revenue generation in a professional way that doesn't seem salesy. And so that's what we're going to talk about now. If we could set you up for greater business success through the portal of a well-written book, what if we could do that? That's also written with the encodements of a generous universe, if that's part of your worldview. A book can be written without that, but if that's part of your worldview, then that's certainly something that we can play with in the writing of your book, and also help you gracefully leverage your book for expansion. And so there's a lot of leveraging, I feel, of our skill sets and of our energy and of our desires and our motivation, and all of those things that we have the capability of marshaling into, funneling into this project of creating this gorgeous book that's meant for you to write. And what if together we could make a book writing a lot more enjoyable? And you've heard from some of the people in our group already, and we have such a care and compassion for each other, and we'd love to expand the bubble. We would all love to have and invite more people to join us in the fun that we have, and also in this magical project of writing books. And so this is our Inspired Author Academy. It's an opportunity to finish writing your book while fulfilling on your mission and growing yourself and your business alongside people who share your vision of greater harmony. And we don't have AI, we don't have gimmicks, we don't have complicated systems that don't make sense. There's no major technology involved. We have a little technology that's kind of like Zoom, but and a few other little things where you can access the recordings and stuff like that. But we're pretty down to earth. And it looks something like this. This is the Inspired Author Roadmap. We start with why and who. We help you create your outline and draft your manuscript. I'll help you hire an editor. We don't get into publishing and marketing in the Inspired Author Roadmap. That's not a service Tanya and I offer. The publishing itself, we know a lot about marketing because we offered marketing services as a business for quite a long time, but that's not the core of what we do. However, I am super connected to a lot of people of great integrity in both the publishing and the marketing world. One of the reasons we don't do publishing, because a lot of people have said, oh, well, you should publish people's books, is that there are 4 different models of publishing available. And every model of publishing has strengths and weaknesses. And I feel it's more important that people customize their publishing solution to their goals, to their kind of book, and to the kind of experience they want to have in the publishing and beyond. So I don't think one size fits all in publishing. I think that's a very personal decision. And so here's how we're going to help you if you want to take us up on this. So we start with an Ignite Your Book Writing activation call with me. And that's a deep dive into the book, what you want to do with the book, what your goals are, how you feel the book will serve you, what you feel the difficulties that you might be facing with writing the book are. And we get all of that figured out for you. It's an inspirational call, but it also helps you get going in a direction to get your wheels under you so that you can really take off. We have a 2-day online book structuring workshop where you can develop a book outline to maximize your impact and streamline your writing process. We've been talking a little bit about that today. And if you were doing the exercises earlier, you got a little bit of a head start on that. And let's go deeper. We're scratching the surface with this. Your outline is very important, usually. And for some people, it's a bit challenging to create that outline, and they don't necessarily want to do that. But we've talked already about all of the benefits and all of the good things about having a book outline. But we're going to do that together. We're going to get your book structured so that you have a really superior and professional roadmap to follow in the writing of your book. We are going to follow the holistic book birthing process. And what this is 12 90-minute to 2-hour calls. We kind of call it 90 minutes, but man, we're 2 hours. I think I'm going to have to change this to 2 hours, the group calls. And these are designed to set you up for writing success strategically, but also intuitively and in alignment with your own way of creating flow. That I used to have agendas for each of these meetings way back when, because I really wanted to make sure everybody got the information they needed to write a book. And what I've come to realize, because of the amazing grace of the people that are in the community right now, is that what is so much more impactful is that agenda's okay, but what's coming up for people? What are the challenges that you're facing today? And quite often that's something another group member is challenged with, or a group member will have found a solution to that very issue. They were dealing with it a month ago or a year ago, and they have resources that can help you to see the issue in a new light. And I mean, I'm not too shabby at that myself. I also always have ideas on how to help people, but we are really designing those times together to troubleshoot the issues that you might be facing. We have a writing clinic program. So this is a real favorite from the people in our group. And our writing clinic program, again, over the course of a year, is 12 writing clinic meetings, where each time we have 2 of our members circulate a week ahead of time a sample of their writing, a 1,500-word sample from their book. So there's a deadline to get that in, and you've got to get that piece in. And everybody takes a look at it and comes to the writing clinic prepared to provide feedback. And I also edit that, and I treat it as though that were an editing project. I will edit that as well. And so you're on all the way along to writing your book. You're getting live feedback on what you're writing and what your writing style is like. Maybe there are things that aren't landing with people, or maybe there's something you're doing in your writing that isn't, you're not quite getting the point across. Well, in this very, as you've seen, compassionate and caring community, we provide supportive feedback to help you improve your writing. And I think everybody was mentioning earlier today in our success panel, our author panel, that they feel that their writing has improved over the course. And I think this is a big part of it. Is our writing clinic is very much focused on writing skills and improving our writing skills. And on top of that, we have 4 one-on-one private accelerator calls with me, and to help you come into alignment with what you're doing and stay on course with your project. And let's talk about your leadership quest. Let's talk about what you want that to look like, and how we can direct the unfolding of your authoring path so that you're getting the opportunities that you need in order to advance your leadership the way you would like it to go. We have a half-day virtual book publishing training, and that's designed to take the mystery out of publishing. Like I said, there are 4 different publishing models. There are good things and less advantageous things about each of them, and there are different reasons why you would choose one publishing model over another. So we take a half a day, we do a deep dive on publishing and help you get settled into the kind of publishing model that is going to work best for you. I have spoken with many people who published their first book, and it was a disaster. The quality of the paper was terrible. The printing job was awful. It was out of alignment. The book cover looked terrible. There are all kinds of issues that people face when they're trying to get their publishing organized, and we don't want that to happen to you. There's no reason that needs to happen, and so we'll get you settled with a really good publishing model. And then I reach into my network, because as I mentioned, Tanya and I have run, gosh, I think it's now 7 or 8 summits, book writing summits. And over the course of those summits, I think we've probably talked to 40 or 50 publishers have come to address our community. So I have a really nice network of publishers now, and people who I can really rely on to be people of integrity in the business transaction itself, but also compassionate, kind-hearted people who actually care about the quality of your book. So we that's how we look after the publishing in our community, is making sure you have the information that you need. You settle on the publishing solution that's going to serve you well, and that you have the contacts you need in order to make the publishing happen. We also have a half-day virtual. Again, this is another virtual one, book marketing training. And by the way, almost all of our classes are virtual. We had our in-person retreat last year. We'll probably do another one next year. But just other than that, we do things virtually on Zoom. And the marketing training is all about helping you clarify the actions that you need to take and when to maximize your book's impact on your bottom line and your reputation so that you're confident about how you're spending your marketing dollars, well, and your time. You can spend an unlimited amount of money on book marketing, literally unlimited. You could throw money at that forever. Like I say, you can hire a publicist for $20,000 a month. So maybe you decide the publicist convinces you that you need 3 months at $20,000, that's $60,000 of a marketing spend. That's a substantial amount of money. And is that going to give you the results that you're looking for? It might, because it might be Good Morning America that you want to be on. That might be what it takes in order to get you a plum spot on a morning television show. That might be what is going to serve you. And so that might be money that's well spent. However, that might not be what you're after. And so we take a look at what your goals are and help map out what the marketing strategy ideally is in order for you to really economize and make sure that you're spending your money as wisely as you can for the biggest bang for your buck. We also have a full day purpose to profit virtual book writing retreat. And it's another one where we're spending the entire day looking at how you're going to leverage the book for revenue generation. This is a little bit better, a little bit different from marketing in that it is more long-term. Like marketing can be a very long-term prospect as well. But in this retreat that we're going to be doing, it's all about, okay, what's the long game? What long game are you playing? I didn't know I was playing a long game when I wrote my first book. And I wasn't intentionally doing anything other than wanting to get published, which is fine too. And that might be all that you really want to get out of the experience, and that's okay. However, if there's something more that you're interested in, then let's look at what pieces need to be in place in your authoring journey. So how many books is that? Is that 6 books? Do you need to map out now a series of 5 or 6 books targeting different target audiences? What is it that's going to make sure that as you're setting your sights on a longer term goal for your authoring career, that you have the pieces in place that will help you get there? And that being said, we cannot plan everything. And my life has certainly been an example of how miracles show up when I say yes. When I say yes to something and commit to something, it's like the universe sets other things in motion because I've signaled that I'm committed, and other things drop into my life that are extraordinary and I could never have mentioned, like winning that award, that international award for excellence in literature. I didn't plan that 5 years ago or 10 years ago or even a year ago. It showed up because of the commitment that I've shown to the work that I'm doing in the world. So we're going to do that for you too. We have a mobile app. We haven't even talked about our mobile app this week, but we have a Visionary Authors mobile app, and it's a community app for authors and people who serve the authoring community. And it's an opportunity, it's a marketing tool for our clients. It allows you to have your own app nested within our app that will help you to market your book and build your own community through the app as well. So we're giving you membership in that, and also a full year of paid subscription. There is a cost involved in that. Normally we charge people for that, but if you're in our Inspired Author Academy, we're throwing that in for free. We do 12 monthly 2-hour online writing retreats, and that's the last Sunday of every month. We sit down and write for 2 hours. I provide a writing prompt, much like what we've been doing here, and our members will write for half an hour with nice music playing. And then we share what we've written. And you don't have to share if you're really uncomfortable. I'm not going to make you do that. However, that is a muscle that's good to exercise while you're working on your book, so that when that book is published and suddenly you're at a book signing and you have to read out of your book, you don't get shut down by nerves because you've been doing this in a group before. This is something that is part of your normal. And the same with the sitting down and writing. One of the real advantages for me of having a news career way back in the day was that I had to sit down and write. And so that got to be a muscle that I exercised a lot, and it became how I write my book. Is now in this stage of life, having done that so much, I know I can sit down and write. That's a wonderful thing to be able to do when you're writing your book. And by the way, here's the cool thing about the writing genie is if the writing genie knows that you're sitting down the last Sunday of every month for 2 hours to write, the writing genie knows you're going to be there. The writing genie will come and visit you. And same thing with a standard writing practice. If you get in the habit of writing in the same place at the same time every week or every day, even, then the writing genie will come and find you. The writing genie knows where you are, and it will visit you a lot more often. So the writing retreats is a fun part of what we do. We have 2 libraries of book publishing and marketing videos trainings, more than 60 hours of training on book publishing and book marketing. So to supplement the other things that we're doing, you will be welcome to dip in at any time to watch any of our book marketing and book publishing videos about how to get your book published, because there are a lot of nuances around that, but also how to make money out of your book, how to sell books. We have a Slack channel, so we've now implemented a Slack channel for communication, and you can leave comments there, which is kind of fun too. We provide our Inspired Author Academy members VIP access to all of our events. We do a number of events every year. We were doing 1 or 2 summits every year which has a VIP ticket. We're doing this event this year. We have other events that come up. So we do invite all of our authors, our clients in our Inspired Author Academy to take advantage of the VIP ticket on us. We don't charge you for that. That's you're comped into all of our events at the VIP level. And there are a lot of advantages to that. One of the big ones is that you get access to all of the recordings. So you can watch that at your leisure. You don't have to set aside 3 days or 4 days to come here every day. You have the security of knowing that you'll be able to see the recordings. We always package the VIP ticket with the recordings. So the recordings go with the VIP ticket for all of our events. So as a Inspired Author Academy member, you get that worked in. Also, for some of our events, our speakers will provide a VIP gift. And those VIP gifts are worth thousands and thousands of dollars. With our summit just this past April, my mind is blown every time we do this at the generosity of our speakers who come, and they provide a VIP gift, and they're amazing. So you'd get all of that. Again, introductions to my network. I know so many people in the book world now, and not just the mechanical people, the people who are highly professional and really good at what they do, and people of integrity, also people who understand energy. And I'm building that part of it because, believe it or not, the whole publishing world doesn't understand energy. There are lots of people in publishing who don't get that conversation at all. And so I'm actively looking for those people who, again, are highly professional in what they're doing and also can come at the book writing project with an understanding of the energetics of what we're doing. So we're working on that. And bonuses, implementation time, 4 hours of implementation time every month in our library room. And I think Cynthia was mentioning that twice a month for 2 hours, we opened our library, which is a Zoom room, and we invite our Inspired Author Academy members to put that in your calendar and show up and write. We don't talk, we don't teach, we don't jitsy chatsy. It's your writing time, it's implementation time. So you know it's in the calendar, you have a place to be, and have that marked in your calendar so that you're there and you are working on your book. And that helps quite a few people, so they know that they're that's dedicated time to work on your book. We also offer ultimate course formula. So as you may have gathered, I'm a big believer in monetization. And Iman Agai, one of my mentors, has very generously offered to include all of our Inspired Author Academy members in for free. You don't have to pay into his 8-week program, Ultimate Course Formula. And that's how I started my first online course, was through Iman about 5 years ago. I took this course, and at the end of that course, I was making money. I was getting money in the door. And so I know it works. And I went to Iman and said, gosh, you know, a lot of people who write books would also like to have a course. Can we include this in our year-long program? And he was delighted to do that. So you are, if you're a member of the Inspired Author Academy, you will be enrolled in Ultimate Course Formula. If you do the work and you follow the instructions, by the end of that program, you will be making money out of your course content. And by the way, your course content is great book content. So you're killing two birds with one stone. I hate that expression. I don't know why I just said that, but you're actually being very economical with your time and your energy in taking that program, because it's an awesome way to create book content as well. And also wonderful is the fact that as part of the Inspired Author Academy, you are enrolled in our wonderful MC Janelle Anderson's program, Own the Room, Design and Deliver Your Captivating Talk from Any Stage. So as you may have figured out through the course of the last couple of days so far, speaking is a really important part of gaining visibility for your book and your business. They're wrapped up together. And most of us, when we first start speaking, we are not very comfortable with doing it. And maybe some of you, maybe you've got that handled and you're a pro at it. And I think probably quite a few of you are. And if you still feel there is room for improvement, then you will be enrolled in Janelle's amazing course, 8-week course, to up your speaking game so that you can be completely confident when you're in front of a camera, when you're on stage, when you're doing a live talk. All of those things are or can be part of your book authoring journey. Your becoming and being an author really involves speaking if you wanted to. Like, you don't have to do it, but that's a really powerful piece of leverage for an author. I remember the first time I had to speak out loud, read from my book. I was so scared. I thought I was going to pass out. I was so terrified. I hadn't done any speaking before. I didn't see myself as a speaker particularly, but I knew this is something I had to do. And so we want that to not happen for you. If you are one of those people who has a little bit of shyness around the stage, then Janelle's program is going to take any vestiges of that right out of your energy field. But also, if you're quite comfortable, there are always improvements that we can be making in the talk that we deliver. There are always things that we can learn from someone who's a pro. And Janelle, as an absolute pro at speaking, as you've been seeing her emceeing this event here, she is amazing and has fabulous energy. And gosh, what she doesn't know about speaking in events is, I can't even imagine what she doesn't know, because she knows so much. So that's pretty much the program. Of course, the community and the accountability and the support and deeper connection to your mission and your vision. All of that is wrapped up into this program as well. So much as this is a practical program with a lot of practical tools and support systems for you, it's also about the heart. It's also about engaging your heart in this project. And in a supportive community of other people who are doing the same thing, who are working on the same project, who have the same desire and yearning to become the author of a highly compelling, well-written book. That's what we're all doing together. And the community aspect of what we're creating with the Inspired Author Academy is very humbling for me, because I was a lone ranger for a lot of my life, and didn't think I needed help with anything because I had it handled. I could figure it out, and I could, and I did, and it wasn't very much fun. And now I'm at a stage in my life where I've come to so value community, that I am so grateful for the people in my community for acknowledging me as someone who can help them, but also that the support that I get personally from being in this world is immense. And again, I'm so grateful that I get to do the work that I do in the world. I get to do what I love to do among people who I absolutely adore being with. So we are very blessed in this community. So just a little recap, if you want to take a quick read of all of those elements. These are all of the things that are involved in the Inspired Author Academy. We have the introductory program activation call, a 2-day online retreat to structure your book, 12 90-minute group coaching calls, 12 90-minute monthly writing clinics, and 4 private accelerator personal one-on-one calls with me. Most of this is a group program, but we do have the 4 one-on-one calls with me throughout the year. We also have the half-day virtual book publishing training to map out your publishing plan, as well as a half-day virtual book marketing training to map out your marketing plan. We've got the 1-day virtual retreat to help you develop your long-term revenue generation program. You get to have a mobile app nested within our mobile community app, our Visionary Authors, it's called. 12 monthly 2-hour online writing mini retreats, access to our 60 hours of book publishing and book marketing training videos. You have the community access to each other through our private channel, our Slack channel, VIP access to all of our Crossman Communications and Awakening Author online events, and introductions to my community. And I don't make those community introductions to just anybody because, to be honest, it takes a few minutes to make an introduction, and I just don't have time to introduce everybody who comes to my door to all of the people who I know. I would love to be able to do that, but at this point, the relationship is an important aspect of who I'm introducing to the people who I care about in my network, the other professionals that I'm introducing people to, but also I just don't have time to do that for everybody. So on the bonus side of things, we've got the 2 times a month, 2 hours in our implementation room, our library. You get to participate for no charge at all in Ultimate Course Formula, which is the 8-week program on how to create and sell an online course, as well as participation in Janelle Anderson's Own the Room, Design and Deliver Your Captivating Talk from Any Stage, which is the 8-week training program that Janelle is offering. So she's very generously letting us be that. So the price, you're probably wondering, okay, what is that going to cost? And all of that is available at this event for $9,997. That's what the price of that is. Now, for those of you who would like to accelerate your progress and really make this happen more easily and faster, maybe you feel you need a little more upfront help, or you want to have more support throughout the 12 months of the program, we're also offering 6 months of one-on-one coaching with me at 4 hours a month. So that would be 2 2-hour sessions. That's one way of doing it. Another way I've done it with people is to have a couple of 1.5-hour sessions, plus I'll do some editing of your work for the remaining of that 4-hour time. So we will add that in, and the price of that would be $18,997. So we do have payment programs. So if that sounds like something that you would like to do and you're thinking, well, I don't know about paying $9,997 all at once, we will take monthly payments of $1,000, 12 monthly payments of $1,000. And we also have other coach approved payment plans as well. So if you've been working with a coach and you feel that this sounds like a really good idea, but neither of these payment plans is really going to work for you, then please do talk to your coach, because we have other pre-approved plans that they can make available to you as well. In terms of the accelerated program, we can take a payment in full at $18,997 or 12 monthly payments of $1,900. Now, again, if neither of those seem to be the right fit for you and you would like to discuss a different payment option with a coach, then talk to them. Like I say, there are other approved payment plans that we've talked about that are not on these slides that are available for you as well. But those are those. And the first payment would be due July 15th, because our first group call would be July 16th at 12 noon Eastern. And that's where the rubber hits the road and we get rolling to get you published, because that's the name of the game. Get a beautiful book in place and out the door so it can be doing the good in the world for you and the people you're here to serve, both at the same time. So a little word about who the program is best for, and that would be heart-centered and mission-driven people who would like to make a difference in the world and in their businesses, because as we know, a book makes a huge difference in your business. It's a wonderful tool for expansion of your business as well as your personal life, but it's an important part of a business plan. People who need a logical system that plays with possibilities. So we like to play with both logic and creativity and intuitiveness. If you're interested in going on the journey of doing both, that's wonderful. If you think you're more logical than intuitive, but you would like to be more intuitive, then this is a good place for you. If you are maybe super intuitive and you'd like to develop a skill set around being a little more organized and a little more logical and linear, also a good place for you, because we bring all of that together and we work on those skills all over the place. Also, if you would like to write a compelling book in alignment with your divine guidance and recognize that although it's a challenging and complex process, with the right support and a compassionate mentor, you can and you will get this done. This is absolutely something I know just about anybody. I believe almost anybody can write a really powerful, great book. And you just need to know how, and you need a little support, and you need to commit. And there are a lot of other things, accountability and all those things that we've talked about in the program. All of those are relevant for the book. The program is not ideal for people who want to write a book as fast as possible so they can use it as a business card and leverage it to become an Amazon best-selling author so everybody will know how famous and important you are. That's not what we do here. There are places that do that, and that's not how we do things here. And I don't mean to judge that whatsoever. There is a place for that. Those books have a purpose as well. And if that's what you're looking for, that isn't what you'll get through the Inspired Author Academy. If you don't believe in a higher power and you're disdainful of people who do, this also probably isn't the right field for you to play in, because the people in my community generally are people who believe in a higher power. And it doesn't mean religious. It's not that there's a religion that we're promoting or supporting here. It's just that if you have an understanding that there is a higher guidance at work in your life, then let's use that, lean on that to help write your book. And also, if you don't recognize that writing a high quality book is a craft and requires a sincere commitment, then this probably isn't the place for you either. We're about excellence and highly professional results in our community. And so, if you're not into the craftsmanship side of things and making this the absolute best book you have it in you to make, then this probably won't be a comfortable place for you to be. We also offer a money-back guarantee, just so everybody knows. If you get into the program and within 30 days, you go, okay, this is so not for me, then we will refund you your money. No questions asked. We don't want you here if you're not happy and you're not comfortable. Then we lovingly invite you to go somewhere else. If you are unhappy with what we're doing and how we're doing it, then no questions asked, money back, off you go. That's our commitment. I do have some testimonials. I've got lots of testimonials if you'd like to see more of them. This is my publisher, Michael Davey, and Manor House Publishing, and he has said some very kind words about me. One thing that I'm particularly pleased about is that Mike has said, if I've edited the book, if I've worked on that book and I have edited it, then he's pretty much guarantees that he'll publish it. It's kind of something I don't advertise a lot because it's a bit showy, and that's not how it's supposed to work. But I do have a very strong relationship with my publisher, and we have a lot of mutual respect. And so if a traditional contract is something that you think you might be looking for, then we can look at whether this is the right fit for you. It might not be. There's a lot of discussion we need to have before we race to my publisher, but because it isn't the right answer for everybody. And so, but if it is, then if I've edited the book, if I've been involved in the book, then I will make that introduction, and there's a pretty good chance that that book will be picked up. Another couple of clients here saying really nice things about me. And best time to invest in this program. Well, the universe brought you here for a reason. And the reason might not be to buy into the program. The reason might be to just hear that one thing that is going to make a difference in your life, or meet that one person in a breakout room that will make a difference in your life. However, given the fact that I'm an author coach and an editor, and I create programs for people who want to write a really great book that will make a difference in the world, if you're here in this community, let's take a look at that. But maybe this is what you're here for. And another point that I'd like to make is it's probably time. Our world is in a crisis point, and I don't want to go on too much about that because I believe in hope and I believe in optimism and I believe in love and generosity and energy. And however, I do know there are a lot of very, very unhappy people right now who are struggling quietly in very desperate lives, who are looking, pardon me, for solutions. And your book could well be the solution that they need to turn their life around. And I've seen it happen with clients. I've seen it happen with my own books where people, well, my book has made a difference in someone's life. And it's just that even just one person, if you can make a difference in one person's life, then you've saved many lives. And if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? You've probably been thinking about committing to this book for a while, and now this is a commitment. This is, if you're looking for a sign, maybe this is the sign. And of course, as with all things, the price will be going up. I'm in trouble with my mentor, who took a look at the program that I'm offering and said, "You've got to offer that for $15,000." And I said, "Well, not yet, not yet." But it is a very fulsome program, and I'm very proud of it and very excited about inviting new people to come and join me in that program. And if all you got out of the program was the ability to effortlessly claim your rightful leadership, and you got crystal clarity on your message, your mission, your service in the world, and your path forward to help humanity, and the ability to attract bigger stages for sharing your messages, then wouldn't that be worth it too? But you're also going to finish writing your book. So there's a lot packed into this. Again, investment today. And if you're ready to join, so I invite you to talk to your coach. But what I will say is we do have an application process. And if you're going to apply for that program today, then we will invite you to go to our application page. And I'm just looking for that now. Let's see. There it is. Whoops. Oh, sorry, folks. You want to go talk to your coach, go talk to them maybe now. If you don't have a second session already booked with your coach, you can go to the coaching room and Maduri will get you sorted with a coach. If you've had a first appointment and they've booked you through to a second appointment, then hopefully that's in your calendar. Please do make sure you do go, because your coach will discuss this with you and make sure it's the right fit for you. They'll talk to you about it. But if you haven't had a second session yet, by all means, go to the coaching zone. It's on the hub button here. I need to make my screen bigger. And you can just show up at the concierge with Maduri, and she'll get you settled with a coach for a second appointment. She'll get you booked. And if you're not sure, and you just need to think about it, there are a couple of things to know about all of this is that we're not just going to plunk you into a $10,000 program and be glad that you're there and that's it. Like, there are some safeguards here around making sure that this is the right fit for you. And one of them is the conversation with your coach. So please do go and talk about this with your coach and make sure that this is the right fit for you. And the second thing is that one of the first things that we do, you're going to go to the golden button, click on the golden button and say yes. We'll be asking for a $97 application fee we're doing. I just clicked on that button. So we invite you to pay that. And once you've paid the application fee, you'll be taken to a screen where we will book an appointment, you and I, to talk about the program. So you talk to your coach. Your coach will walk you through the process of applying as well, by the way. But then once you've applied, then you and I will sit down and we'll have a conversation to make sure it's the right fit for you. So we'll have another conversation. And if it's the right fit for you, you're in, and we'll go forward very happily towards the publication of your book. And again, the kind of the third safeguard for you is if you get into that program and within 30 days you decide it isn't the right fit for you, then we have that 30-day money back guarantee for you. So you can back out at that point if that seems like the right thing for you to do. So there are a lot of safeguards for us all to make sure that this is the right fit for everybody. But if you're thinking about this program, honestly, please say yes, because I would love to play with you. And there's everybody who's on this call right now is someone who I would like to work with and I would like to support to the amazing results that you're going to be achieving for you and for the people you're here to serve as well. That there's a lot of power in a book, and we want to use that power wisely. So I encourage you to go and talk to your coach. Say yes to you. I love that, I love that.